Welcome to another Monday Book Talk, everybody. I'm AnnaLee Dragon, the director of the Kinderhook Memorial Library, and this is part 3 of my unboxing that I started several weeks ago when I bought a lot of books and couldn't fit them all into one book talk. But I thought highlighting them is important because if we have all these books and you don't know they're here, then what good does that do anybody? They are, of course, listed in the catalog, and you are welcome to come in and make an appointment to come in and browse or call us and we can make some recommendations. But I think these book talks are a great way to show you what's coming through the doors. And this week I'm focusing on fiction. They're not all brand new authors, but they're authors who were lesser known to me, which probably means they're lesser known to you as well. So we've done some really big name fiction a few weeks ago, and then last week was nonfiction, and this week we're back to fiction, but just some different kind of stuff. So I have a few different categories. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly because there are a lot to cover. I will put the covers at the end so you can see the titles and authors and all the information you need to place a request. And I'm just going to give you a little taste of each one, and we're going to go right through them because there's quite a few. And I know I talk too long on these usually, so I try to keep it a little bit shorter. So the first ones I wanted to start with are some what I would call more traditional, like noir type thrillers, which people are huge fans of, and it fits the season a little with the kind of wintry atmosphere outside. And so if there are some authors who I think are connected that I'll kind of mention, if you like so-and-so, you might like this throughout. So the first book I wanted to talk about is called The Captive by Fiona King Foster. And the little blurb inside says, a rural noir about a woman on a pulse-pounding expedition to deliver a fugitive and forced to confront her own past on the journey. So these are, I think, some major themes, right? Like the idea of noir and that there is something about her past that she probably doesn't want everybody to know about. The cover is very foreboding because I think the thing about a rural noir, and we live in a more rural area, right, is the idea that something could happen and nobody's around to help you. So there is something sort of foreboding about the cover, and it got wonderful reviews, and it's just an author I'm not familiar with, and they call it tension wire suspenseful from the first line to the last. So for anybody looking for a new thriller, maybe a new author who writes really great ones, this could be your book. Okay, then the next book is called The Butterfly House by Katrine Engberg. It's the cover of it. And I think so Katrine wrote another book, a best-selling book called The Tenant, which I don't know if you've read or not. But this looks to me very like the Scandinavian noir thrillers, kind of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, or The Ice Beneath Her, which is one I talked about before. And that mostly has to do with the setting, but also the tone and the writing of them. They're usually very beautifully written, but they're very dark. And they just have a certain way, and a lot of people love them. And so when I saw this one in the reviews, I thought that would be a great one for our collection. So it says that it is a stunning debut, which strikes me as odd because it does say that she was the best-selling author of The Tenant. I'm sorry. So that was written about The Tenant. This is a compulsively readable thriller featuring investigators, I'm not going to pronounce these correctly, Hepa Corner and Annette Werner, who race to solve a series of sordid murders linked to some of the most vulnerable patients in a Danish hospital. So Kathy Reichs is the thriller author who called her debut, The Tenant, stunning. And then this is her next book. So it is set in Europe, like I suggested it might be, which you can just tell from the cover and the writing of it. But she has become a really well-known author from that debut, and she's back. So if you read that one and love it, this is the next. I don't think they're related in character, just same author. And if you just happen to like Scandinavian noir thrillers, this looks like an excellent one for you. Okay, the last one kind of in this same thread, I feel like, is called The Perfect Guests by Emma Roos. I'm sorry about the glare, but I'll show you the covers at the end. So she wrote this one called The Au Pair that a lot of people I know have read. And there's a blurb on the front that says clever and engaging, that's written by Lisa Gardner, who is another author who writes thrillers, big name author who writes thrillers. So the little one sentence entry says it's a grand estate with many secrets, an orphan caught in a web of lies, and a young woman playing a sinister game. And it does look like it goes back and forth in time period between 1988 when the character is 14 and then 2019 when there's an actress involved. And so there are two different plot lines going on at the same time, which I usually find really interesting. I like to go back and forth between people and time periods. So she is an English author, and this one is getting great reviews. It was in USA Today, and she's a best-selling author. So if you either read The Au Pair or didn't, you might want to check out The Perfect Guests. They'll do anything to stay, it says. Sounds good. Okay, so then I have a couple that are thrillers, but in a different kind of sense. I think a little more literary, and I think a little maybe more character driven as opposed to fast-paced page turners. So this first one called Waiting for the Night Song, and it is by Julie Carrick Dalton. And it says that it's a smart and searingly passionate, illuminating snapshot of nature, betrayal, and sacrifices that explore friendships, childhood secrets, and the lengths we go to protect them. And that, to me, reminded me of Where the Crawdads Sing. The idea of nature, but also a mystery and some kind of villainous element in it, but beautifully written. And Where the Crawdads Sing was such a huge hit that when I read the bit of this that I had read, I thought, ooh, I bet a lot of people who liked that one are looking for a similar book would really enjoy this. So it's supposed to be riveting and heartbreaking and a coming of age story. So if you're looking for a little more emotion maybe with your thriller or your mystery, this might be a good book for you. And then the next one was a really interesting premise. It's called The Mystery of Mrs Christie. And it is by Marie Benedict, who wrote The Only Woman in the Room. And some of the people on here, Kate Quinn, who wrote The Alice Network and was very popular, said that this is a deft, fascinating page turner. And it's got an interesting premise in that it's about Agatha Christie, the author, going missing and the investigators who are searching for her. So this is fiction, but it features Agatha Christie as a character in it who has gone missing and the puzzle trying to solve that. And I just always think that's interesting when they take a real person and involve them in that way, especially a mystery writer like Agatha Christie. So again, great reviews. And it says that the tagline says, Agatha Christie's own history may be her greatest mystery of all. So these all have such great taglines. They make you excited to read them. It's hard to put them down. The next one in this section that I wanted to talk about is called Picnic in the Ruins. And it is by Todd Robert Peterson. And somebody compared it to a Tarantino film, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know what that meant, but it says that scenes unfold to reveal a cast of divergent characters who are destined to collide, and when they do, you don't want to look away. So it's about an anthropologist who is researching the impact of tourism on cultural sites at a remote national monument, and she crosses paths with some small-time criminals. And so they say what begins as a madcap caper across the RV-strewn vacation lands of southern Utah becomes a meditation on mythology, authenticity, the ethics of preservation, and one nagging question: who owns the past? And I think that's a really interesting question. We're seeing a lot of that now where artifacts have been taken out of the countries they're originally from and put in museums in other countries. And a lot of times now the countries who are the original owners of those artifacts want them back. And so I do think I think this is interesting because it's a thriller, but there's also this social and cultural commentary going on. It's something that's kind of the moment. So Picnic in the Ruins. Okay, and then I've got some others that are just like a little different. And so they struck me as different for some reason, so I sort of just paired them together. Not that they're alike with each other, but they're alike in that they seem unique to me. So the first one is called The Liar's Dictionary by Ellie Williams. I love that peacock with the book as the feathers. And it starts out by defining the word mount weasel, which apparently is the phenomenon of false entries within dictionaries and works of reference, often used as a safeguard against copyright infringement. So this has a lot to do with literary things. It says that it's about the final year of the 19th century and a man who is toiling away at the letter S for a multi-volume encyclopedic dictionary. And there is some things going on that he doesn't like, fictitious entries in the dictionary. And then it goes forward to present day. So it just looked like a literary kind of mystery. But it's just supposed to be wonderful. And if you are a person who loves language and wordplay, this would be a great book for you, I think. So they're calling it remarkable and offbeat. And so it sounds interesting to me. Okay, the next one is called The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. And Marlon James, who was an author who wrote a really fantastic book, and I'm blanking on the name of it, a few years ago, said that it's glorious and what the American novel is, should do, and can be. It's pretty big praise. It is a debut, which is one of my favorite things, and it says it's a singular and stunning debut about the forbidden union between two enslaved young men on a deep South plantation, the refuge they find in each other, and the betrayal that threatens their existence. So there's a number of things going on here culturally that I'm interested in. You know, we're talking about Deep South and slavery. We're also talking about homosexual relationships, which at the time were, of course, not okay. And luckily that has changed, you know, for the most part. It could do to change some more, but there has been forward progress there. So there's just a number of things here that I don't think get written about, especially in fiction very often. So, and it has a long acknowledgement section. It is fiction, but it looks like it has been very well researched, which always makes for an excellent historical fiction book, in my opinion. Okay, the next one I have here is called Black Buck, a novel by Matteo Ascarapor. That's the cover of it. And it says, for fans of Sorry to Bother You and The Wolf of Wall Street, this is a blazing satirical debut novel about a young man given a shot at stardom as the lone black salesman at a mysterious, cult-like, and wildly successful startup where nothing is as it seems. And I thought it was nice to include some satire in this because that is something that we could use a little laugh and levity, but also it gives us a window, right? There's some truth in all humor. So it gives us a window into some of our own cultural issues. So I just thought this looked like a really great book, and it's a debut again, which I always love it, to feature a new author and give them some spotlight, right? So then the next book I have is called Detransition Baby, a novel, and it is by Tori Peters. And this one is a whip-smart debut about three women, transgender and cisgender, whose lives collide after an unexpected pregnancy forces them to confront their deepest desires. And for those of you who don't know, cisgender means that you identify as the gender you were born as or assigned at birth, I guess is the way to put it. So I liked that there was some intersectionality here. We are coming into Women's History Month in March, and I like the idea of talking about all kinds of women, whether that is cisgender or transgender, and about things with unexpected pregnancy and what that effect can have on somebody's life as a woman. So I was real excited to read this, to see this one, and I'm very eager to read it. Hopefully you will be too. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is called People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. And it says, followed by millions, watched by one. This is a thriller, a pretty standard thriller, I think, in that way, except for the thing I liked is that it's very modern in that it's about a social media influencer, which is something that didn't exist years ago and is a thing now for sure. Some people make their entire livings off of it. So it's a razor-sharp, wickedly smart suspense debut about an ambitious influencer mom whose soaring success threatens her marriage, her morals, and her family's safety. So it looked like a really interesting kind of modern take on a thriller, and captures some piece of like the cultural zeitgeist in having followers and being a social media influencer. So I thought that looked great too. So I think that's everything I've got here for today. It's a lot of books. I know it's a bit overwhelming. Feel free to pause me or fast forward me. I will put all of the covers at the end here, and then next week we'll be back with something new. We're done with our unboxings for a bit. So we'll be back with something new, and I look forward to seeing you all then. And if there is anything we can help you with at the library, please don't hesitate to call us. We miss you all. We love seeing your faces and hearing from you. So just let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great week.